Hello and welcome to the Native English Writing and Grammar Skills University course, where in this university level course, you will learn some of the key writing and grammar skills that will not only level up your written English ability, but will give you a better command of the English language. My name is Cal Hislop, and I'll be your guide through this course. As an English instructor who has been teaching non-native English speakers since 2007 at Sungkunkwan University, South Korea's second-ranked university, I have taken the core elements from my formal English writing class and compiled those lessons here for you. This is the same writing and grammar curriculum top South Korean students learn as a requirement in order to graduate. And now you, too, have access to this material. In this course, we will cover format, structure, style, and numerous grammar rules that help build a better writer and a better communicator in English. The ideal student for this course is a non-native English learner, an English enthusiast, and anyone who likes learning the English language. Talk to you soon. Hello again. Today we are going to speak about forming format, or more specifically, paragraph format. So, what is paragraph format? Basically, it's what you need to do to make your paragraph or your essay look good and easy to read. Simple, but there are a few things you need to keep in mind, and I'll take you through those today. First of all, look at these two people. What's similar about them? Here we have two women that look identical. They're sisters from the same mother, so we call them twins. Okay, why do I have a photo of twins? Well, we're going to use a paragraph talking about one sister and her twin sister as an example for paragraph format. This paragraph is the one I'm talking about. However, there's no need to read it, not yet. I just want you to look and tell me, does this look good to you? Or does it look a little strange to you? Obviously, there's something wrong. It's not pleasing to the eye. Can you find some possible mistakes with this paragraph? I'll give you a hint. There are specifically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 mistakes that I want to talk about. So, what's wrong? Here at the top, what do you call this thing? It's a title. What's wrong with the title? Well, it's incorrect for a couple reasons. Number one, if you remember, it's not capitalized correctly. And really, it's not in the right area. Over here, what's wrong? There's no indentation. The writer did not indent. That basically means we need some space right here before you begin writing or typing. Third, there's different sized font here. Everything is the same size except here. Why did the writer do that? I have no idea, but some people make this strange mistake. Fourth, the writer has cut a sentence in half. I don't know why either. Here we have on the other hand, comma, and then the rest is on the next line. Of course, you shouldn't do that. Fifth, the writer skipped a line. Essentially, this is one paragraph, but the writer cut it into two. You need to keep it one solid piece. And sixth, now, for some reason, the writer had created a new paragraph and did indent, but look at how long this is. The space is too big. So it really should be 5 spaces, about right here, not way over here. That looks unprofessional. So let's correct this. It should look like this. It's fixed. Notice The title is correctly capitalized. It's in the center at the top. We have some space between the paragraph, and the paragraph is one whole block. It's easy to look at. It looks good. It's simple to read. So, what do you need to do to make sure your writing looks good like this? You need to keep in mind 5 things. 1, the title. 2, indent or indentation. 3, sentence spacing. 4, font type and size. And 5, correct length. So let's begin with titles. A correct title needs 3 things. Here we have My Sister and I, and it's correct. Number 1, it needs to be centered. Notice it's at the top of the page, in the middle or the center of the screen. Great. Next, it needs to be correctly capitalized. Remember, those rules, first and last words capitalized. Important words like nouns, capitalized. However, this word is not. It's a conjunction. It's only 1, 2, 3 letters. It's not really important, so we're going to make it lowercase. And third, no punctuation, at least not usually. Here, this isn't a sentence, so you don't need a punctuation mark. Punctuation is a period, an exclamation mark, or a question mark. So usually don't do that unless your title happens to be a sentence. So remember, period, these are the same things, and typically, no jum. My students all too often make this mistake. Please don't be one of those persons. A correct title, well, what would it look like? Here's a really quick test. What's wrong in this title? What do you see is wrong? Well, a correct title should look like this. Notice, first word is capitalized, last word capitalized. Words like day, life are capitalized because they're nouns. Here, in, the, of, and, they are not capitalized because they are articles and prepositions. And finally, as I just said, no jum, ladies and gentlemen, no jum. Bad, good, okay. Next, we have indent or indentation. To indent, what should you do? Well, indenting, first of all, as I mentioned earlier, we have 2 words. They mean the same thing, more or less. Number 1, indent. This is your verb, 동사. Indentation. This is your noun, 명사. I'll use these words fairly often throughout the rest of the course. Here's our indentation. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spaces. So don't hit the space bar. Instead, what should you do? Super easy. Hit the tab button. It automatically goes 5 spaces for you. Fantastic. Next, we have dun, 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 space. This is outer space. I don't mean this kind of space. I mean spacing, sentence spacing to be specific. What is sentence spacing? Well, we have several sentences throughout this paragraph, and you need some space between each sentence. For example, these 2 sentences. Don't forget period, space. Spacing is important. So, sentence 1, your period, and then some 1 space here, and then the next sentence. How many sentences do we have in here? Well, these dots represent periods, so there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 sentences, and between each sentence, again, you need one space. Next, correct fonts, font size, font style. There are a lot of choices for font type and style. However, the most common are serif and sans serif. These are two categories. This category, serif, has several fonts that, if you look at the edges, they sort of protrude out. That's this type of style. These three are the most commonly used for formal writing: Times New Roman, Garamond, Bookman, Old Style. It's your pick. Choose one of these three, unless you prefer a sans serif. The difference here is that the corners, the edges, are smooth. The three most commonly used sans serif types are Arial, Helvetica, and Veranda. You can choose these. Choose any of these six and you should be okay. And keep in mind, it's best to use size 12. Below size 12 is sometimes difficult for some people to read, and above size 12 doesn't look very professional. So stick to size 12. Next, you need the correct length of a paragraph. What do we mean by length? Well, again, how many sentences do we have in this paragraph? 11. We have 11 sentences. That's a good sized paragraph. It's good length. However, you don't need that many, but you do need a minimum. The minimum is 5 sentences. So remember, you need at least 5 sentences. Keep in mind, don't forget, you need a title, you need to indent, correct spacing, correct font size and type, and length. Quick quiz. Can you answer these questions? Number 1, what are the rules for titles? Remember, there are 3 rules. I'll give you a second to think about them. 1, 2, 3. The answer: they need to be centered, correctly capitalized, and usually no punctuation. 2, what button do you use to indent? It's not the space bar. You should push the tab button. Okay, good. Number 3, what font size is best? You just saw me tell you the best size is size 12. And 4, what is the minimum number of sentences in a paragraph? Not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but 5. At least 5 sentences. Okay. Awesome job, guys. I knew you'd do well. That's it for forming and format. See you soon, guys. Bye-bye. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Today we're going to talk about building structure, specifically paragraph structure. So, what is paragraph structure? Well, it's laying the foundation for a good paragraph. You need to put certain sentences in the correct order to make sense. In a way, it's like building something. You have a topic, a body, and a conclusion. And these 3 things come together to make a good paragraph. Many English instructors use an example of a hamburger to demonstrate paragraph structure. For example, you might have seen this. The parts of a paragraph include the topic, body, and conclusion, and this is one way of visualizing a paragraph. We have a topic sentence here as the top bun. The conclusion is at the bottom, and it's also a bun because really the topic and conclusion are very similar. The body, however, it's the meat. It's all the good juicy stuff. It's the details that you're really going to be interested in and the reader should be interested in. So we'll use this hamburger as an example for paragraph structure. First of all, the topic sentence. What is required in a topic sentence? Do you remember these two ladies? There are twins from a previous lesson. We're going to use their paragraph to help demonstrate the three parts of a paragraph. First of all, let's read through this. Starting with the title, My Sister and I. At the beginning, let's read together. Even though my sister and I are twins, we are very different. First, she lives in the United States with her husband and children. Her daughters' names are Nicole and Katie. On the other hand, I live in Kuwait and I live by myself. Our jobs are different too. She works in a bank while I'm a teacher. Unlike my sister, I am not very good with numbers. A final difference is in our abilities. My sister is good at art and she can draw wonderful pictures. However, the pictures I draw are not very good. These are some differences between my sister and myself. So, can you identify the topic sentence in this paragraph? I'll give you a hint. Here it is in red. Even though my sister and I are twins, we are very different. You'll notice it's the first sentence. Usually a topic sentence is the first sentence. It's also fairly general. Down here are the details. The body has the details where the topic sentence is more general, and it's considered the most important sentence of the paragraph. It's the main idea. Next, we have the body. Now, the body goes from general to specific. What I mean is that, remember, the topic sentence is general and the specific, the detailed areas are really in the body, specifically in this area. Notice we have these words like first, on the other hand, and final. These are signal words to show you a progression from one idea to the next idea. Finally, we have the conclusion. In the conclusion, what you want to do is restate the topic. What does that mean, restate? Basically, it means you need to say again with different words. So you take the first sentence, even though my sister and I are twins, we are very different. You say it again at the end with different words. Notice that we have a few words that are similar but different. For example, the word different becomes differences. And the subject here, sister and I, becomes sister and myself. These are very similar. However, they're different enough to make a concluding sentence. Let's take a look and get these arrows out of the way. Even though my sister and I are twins, we are very different, becomes, these are some differences between my sister and myself. It's up to you how you restate the topic. However, as long as you restate the topic, it can be a good conclusion. So, it's quiz time. Here we have 5 sentences that are not in the correct order. I want you to put these sentences in the correct order. But let's read these sentences first. At the beginning, first, you should eat McDonald's for breakfast, fried chicken for lunch, and pizza for dinner. Finally, get as much sleep as possible. As you can see, if you follow this simple advice, you can get as fat as a sumo wrestler. Gaining weight is incredibly easy. Next, it is best to move as little as possible and never exercise. Okay, now you have an idea of what the paragraph is about. Can you move these sentences into the correct order? Go ahead and pause your computer or phone and think about it for a few minutes. Okay? Go. So, did you get the correct answers? The correct order is as follows. Gaining weight is incredibly easy is your first sentence. It's the topic sentence. And we have two ideas here. Gaining weight and easy. If we look at the last sentence, our conclusion, you should see the same two ideas. Gaining weight, we can see down here as fat. And easy, we can see again as simple. So we've restated our topic sentence here. These three sentences are the body sentences. Notice we have these words like first, next, and finally. Now let's see what this would look like as a paragraph. Notice everything is blocked together. We have our indentation, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spaces, and it looks good and is easy to read. So we have a correctly written paragraph here. Okay, how well did you do? Delicious. Oh, I'm sorry. I mean, good job. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thanks again. This has been Building Structure or Paragraph Structure. I'll see you again soon. Our next lesson is on capitalization. So, what's the big idea about capitalization? The purpose of capitalization is to know when we should and should not make letters large and small. Letters that are large we call capitals, like the large A here, B, and C. And the other letters that are smaller, we don't call them small letters. They have a special name called lowercase. Lowercase a, b, and c. So, when should you capitalize and when should you not? That's a good question. First of all, you should always capitalize the first letter of the first word of every sentence. This is a good example. Look at this sentence. This is the first word of the sentence. This is the first letter. Therefore, it should be capitalized. I think you already knew that, though. Also, that includes quotations inside sentences. Look at this sentence here. Albert Einstein said, "Imagination is more important than knowledge." This is a complete sentence. However, there's a sentence inside of a sentence. We need to capitalize the first letter of the first word. We also need to capitalize this letter because it is also a sentence, something that specifically Albert Einstein said, thus a quote from Albert Einstein. So don't forget, capitalize quotations inside sentences. Always capitalize the pronoun I. I is important. You're important, right? So am I. So, how many I's do you count in this sentence? I always wanted to be somebody, but now I realize I should have been more specific. There are 3. Remember, always capitalize the letter I when it's alone, referring to yourself. Next, capitalize proper nouns. If you remember, nouns themselves are people, places, and things. Proper nouns are the names of people, places, and things. So, an easy thing to remember is always capitalize names. Pretty simple. Capitalize names of people, whether they are real people, like Michael Jackson, fictional people, like Harry Potter, or people like your uncle and aunts. Here's an example, good old American Uncle Sam. Also, places. For example, Seoul, Korea, and Paris, France. Also, things like the Eiffel Tower and the Leaning Tower of Pisa. Don't forget to capitalize brands. Brands are simply the names of companies. There are several you could think of. For example, Coke, McDonald's, Audi, Nike, Samsung, Microsoft. Always capitalize these words as they are the names of specific companies. Religion should also be capitalized. Why? Because it's out of respect. Christian, Jewish, Muslim, Hindu, Buddhist. There are so many religions in the world, and let's capitalize them all. Ethnicity and language. For example, Korean, French, English. These words are capitalized. Maybe you are Korean and you speak Korean. However, I am American. You capitalize American. It's my nationality. And I speak English. We capitalize the E in English. Geographical regions are also capitalized because they are the names of areas throughout the world. Central America, the Middle East, Eastern Europe, Asia, and so many others. And of course, the days, the months, and holidays. The 7 days in the week, Monday through Sunday. The 12 months in the year, January through December. And even holidays such as Christmas, one of my favorites, and New Year's Day. However, titles are a little bit trickier. You need to capitalize the words in titles. However, you don't capitalize every word. So this is something I want you to pay special attention to because we're going to need to use this several times throughout this course. Here are 5 rules to remember. Number 1, always capitalize the first and last word in a title. 2, always capitalize nouns, pronouns, verbs, adjectives, and adverbs. 3, don't capitalize articles, and the, unless they're at the beginning of a title. 4, don't capitalize prepositions that are less than 5 letters. For example, in, on, for, and all the others. And 5, don't capitalize short conjunctions. The most common ones are here, and, but, so, and or. Unless, for some reason, they're at the beginning of a title. Here's an example. The cat in the hat. The words in blue are capitalized. The words in red are not. Why? First, the is capitalized because it's the first word. Cat and hat are capitalized because they're both nouns. However, in and the are not capitalized. In is a preposition, fewer than 5 letters, and the is an article. They should both be lowercase. Now, hat, yes, it is a noun, but it's also the last word in the title. So it's just another reason it should be capitalized. Here's a quick review. What should be capitalized when writing? All of these things. First and last words, proper nouns, brand names, days, months, holidays, geographical regions, ethnicity, language, religion, and titles. Here's a quick tip. If you're ever unsure about capitalizing, simply look in the dictionary. If the dictionary has a word capitalized, then you know you should also capitalize that word. It's quiz time. Can you capitalize this title? The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. On 3, 2, 1, go. Did you get it correct? The is capitalized. It's the first word. Hitchhiker, guide, galaxy are all nouns. This is last. However, these are not capitalized. To should be lowercase because it is a preposition. And the is lowercase because it is an article. Okay, ladies, gentlemen, fantastic. Good job. We'll see you next time for our next lesson. I look forward to it. Goodbye. Next, we have a tale of topic sentences. We're going to cover topic sentences in a little bit more detail. Before we begin, I'd like to say that a good paragraph has one topic sentence, that all the sentences in the paragraph are about the topic, and that every paragraph then needs a topic sentence. So topic sentences are really important, and that's why we need to talk about them a little bit more. To begin, a topic sentence is usually the first sentence in a paragraph. This is not always the case, but it is most of the time. A topic sentence is more of a general statement where the details are going to be found in the body, and a topic sentence is really considered the most important sentence in a paragraph. Do you remember this topic sentence from earlier, our twins? It states, "Even though my sister and I are twins, we are very different." It was the first sentence in the paragraph, and it's a general statement about how they're going to be different, how the paragraph will talk about how they are different. In the body, we'll find more details. Every topic sentence consists of two parts. Number one, a subject, and number two, one controlling idea. The subject is the main noun or nouns we're going to talk about, and the one controlling idea is how we are focusing on the subject. And we have a couple rules that we need to keep in mind throughout this process. Number one, the topic sentence needs to be focused. Yes, it's a general statement, but it cannot be too general. It needs to have some direction. It needs to have some focus. Two, you can take the subject and the controlling idea and switch them. It's possible for the controlling idea to come first and then the subject, as long as you write it grammatically correct. And three, the topic sentence cannot be a commonly known fact. These are facts that everybody already knows, and they don't work well for topic sentences. So keep these three things in mind. Number one, focus. How do we focus a topic sentence? Remember this sentence. Even though my sister and I are twins, we are very different. If we take a closer look at this sentence, which type is it? This first part, even though my sister and I are twins, this is a dependent clause. Here we have the independent clause. And notice I've changed the colors. In the independent clause, our subject is we. This is our pronoun. The object or the controlling idea is very different. So we've taken the subject and how have we focused it? We've focused on being very different. The body will continue to tell us how are these two twins very different. You might also remember a previous paragraph on gaining weight. What was the topic sentence there? It was, gaining weight is incredibly easy. Now, this sentence is a simple sentence and easier to understand. Notice that gaining weight is our subject and it's first. And the controlling idea is incredibly easy. So we are focusing this part by using this controlling idea. Let's take a look at another sentence example. In the background, what kind of animals are these? Ostriches. Correct. Here's an example sentence. Ostriches are big, can run faster than horses, and the males can roar like lions. Do you think this is a good or bad topic sentence? Let's take a quicker look. We have ostriches are big, can run faster than horses, and the males can roar like lions. This is not really a general statement. There are too many details in this sentence, so it's really not a good topic sentence. Maybe a better one would be, ostriches are really interesting birds. That could work better. How about this sentence? We're talking about what subject? Maybe Christmas. There are 2 reasons why I like Christmas and 2 reasons why I like New Year's Day. Is this a good or bad topic sentence? Well, if you look closer, there seem to be 2 subjects, Christmas and New Year's Day. There's too much information in here. We're not focused on one subject and one controlling idea, so this one is also incorrect. Next, before and after. You can switch the subject and the controlling idea. The before and after can become after before, in a way. Our first sentence, even though my sister and I are twins, we are very different. We again have the subject and the controlling idea, and we could switch these. It will take a little bit of changing the grammar, but that's okay. So let's try that. We've put very different first. Very different is what we are, even though my sister and I are twins. This is grammatically correct, but maybe it's not the best example. Gaining weight is incredibly easy. Now we want to take our subject and controlling idea and switch them. Take a moment and look at this sentence. Okay, let's put incredibly easy first and gaining weight last. It is incredibly easy to gain weight. We've switched them and it works well. Okay, I don't have any example sentences for you, so here's a picture of a cute cat. Finally, common fact. What is an example of a common fact? The moon revolves around the earth. The moon circles the earth. That's what revolves means. So everybody already knows this fact. Therefore, it's not a good idea for a topic sentence. Where do you think this picture is? What city? What major city? Correct, Seoul. Seoul is the largest city in South Korea. Is this a good topic sentence? Well, no. It's a common fact. Everybody knows this. Most people, at least. How about this? The molecular formula for water is H2O. You knew that, didn't you? So, no, it's not a good topic sentence. I'll give you one more example. Autumn in Paris is beautiful. Yeah, this one works.
Ooh.
Here, this is more a statement of opinion or belief. Therefore, it works well for a topic sentence. Okay, so remember these things. A topic sentence is usually first. It's a general statement, but not too general. And it's the most important sentence in a paragraph. Also, with your subject and controlling idea, it must be focused. We have a good idea what the writer will talk about regarding the subject. Before and after, which means the subject and controlling idea can be switched. And finally, not a common fact. Remember, facts or common facts are not good for topic sentences. However, opinions or statements of belief are good for topic sentences. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thanks again. We've finished the details on topic sentences. Stay tuned for the next lesson. Bye-bye. Hello, guys and girls. Let's start describing adjectives. So, what are adjectives? Well, I think you already know them as 형용사. Adjectives are descriptive words that modify or give more details about nouns or pronouns. For example, funny, beautiful, delicious, amazing. All of these are adjectives. How about this image? What words would you use to describe this? Maybe tasty, hot, spicy, flavorful. 맛있겠다. Are you hungry? Well, adjectives can come before nouns. That's one of the more typical ways we will see adjectives. So, let's take a look at this image. Where is this? This is somewhere maybe Southeast Asia, perhaps Thailand. So let's use the word or the place Thailand for an example. Taeguk, Thailand. How are the waters, like the oceans, the seas, the waters in Thailand? Well, Thailand has spectacular waters. Here is our adjective, and it's describing the waters. Waters. For more examples, he bought a smartphone. Can you find the adjective? Right here. Smart is describing the phone. Everybody has a smartphone these days, right? Or, happy people smile a lot. Happy is describing people. I watched a sad movie. Sad is our adjective describing the movie. And she ate a large pizza. She can really eat pizza well. Large is describing the pizza. Also, adjectives can come after certain verbs. Those verbs include be, feel, seem, and look. Let's take a look at two of these. How about feel and seem? We can feel happy, and something or someone can seem upset. So our adjectives are coming after these verbs. For example, how would you describe this kitten? Perhaps, this kitten looks scared. Our adjective is after this particular verb, looks scared. A few more examples are, he is intelligent. Is our verb. Intelligent is the adjective. I feel happy. Happy is the adjective. This is our verb. She seems upset. Upset is the adjective. And they look fantastic. Fantastic is the adjective. Okay. Now, believe it or not, there is an order to adjectives. And don't get scared. It's not as difficult as it looks. Here's a large table with the correct order for adjectives. And here's our noun. We're going to describe a bag, a dress, and a vase. First would be opinion, then size, shape, condition, age, color, pattern, origin, material, and purpose. Oh my God, so much. But don't worry. Usually students can naturally tell if they sound better or they don't sound good. So, for example, an ugly, small bag, or a white French dress, or maybe broken ancient vase. No matter what adjectives you use, keep in mind there should only be a maximum of 3 adjectives used, because more than 3 starts to sound a little strange. It's okay to say ugly, small, thin bag, or beautiful, long, white dress, but it's not okay to say large, broken, ancient, Greek, clay, flower, vase. It's too much. Limit your number to 3 adjectives at a time. Here's a tip. Usually, before an adjective plus noun, we usually have something called a determiner. For example, a and the, these are articles. My, your, her, these are possessive pronouns. To, for, those are numbers, of course. And this, those. Those or these are descriptive pronouns. Usually we have something like this before an adjective plus noun. For example, what kind of shoes do you see in this image? How would you describe them? Maybe red or interesting or colorful. We need something before that word. For example, his colorful shoes. His colorful shoes are expensive. Or these balloons. How many balloons do you count? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Maybe something behind here. I don't know. So there are several birthday balloons. Several represents a large number. Birthday balloons. Okay, let's take a quick quiz. Here we have 5 sentences. I want you to choose the correct response. In each choice, there are 2 adjectives, but one is in the incorrect order and another is the correct order. Which one goes best in the blank? Practice saying them out loud and think to yourself, which one sounds better? Let's take a quick look at that table. Remember, here is our adjective order. Try to use this table to get the correct responses. Okay, here we go. Take a moment and choose the correct response. Go for it. Okay, the answers are, he's a charming young doctor. I plan on wearing my long black coat. This is a well-known French painting from the 18th century. She was wearing a beautiful green dress, and the poor little bird, I'm going to help it. Okay, I hope you did well. I bet you did. Brilliant job. Thanks again, guys and girls. That was describing adjectives. See you soon. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. My name is Cal Hislop, and today's lesson is going to be sentence basics. So let's begin with the basics. My first question for you is, what is a sentence? That complete an idea. So you need three things. Number one, a subject. Number two, a verb. And number three, you need a complete idea. That means it's a finished idea. The listener or reader is not left wondering what else you want to talk about in the sentence. A sentence also needs correct order. You'll need your subject and verb, and sometimes an object. However, the object is not required. It's up to the person who's creating the sentence. So we'll use S for subject, V for verb, and O for object. The correct order that you put these in is subject first, verb second, and object last. For example, I love games. Doesn't everybody? So let's make a couple sentences together. I'm going to give you a few images. You try and think of one sentence, and I'll give you my sentence. First, pizza. Pizza is popular everywhere, isn't it? I love pizza. You probably like pizza. What sentence can you make using this image? Here's my sentence. Pizza is popular worldwide. So let's check together. Is this a correct sentence? Where is the subject? Pizza. Where is the verb? Is. Now, this popular worldwide can be your object here. Worldwide can be your object. My question is this sentence a complete sentence? Sure. We aren't left curious about what the writer is trying to say. Okay, second photo. What animal is this? Can you guess? This is a cheetah. What sentence can you make about this animal? 3, 2, 1. Okay, my sentence is cheetahs are the fastest land animals. Where's the subject? Where's the verb? Again, here's the object. So is this a complete idea? Yes, it is. Good job. One more, ladies and gentlemen. What animal is this? This is my dog. Don't you love him? What sentence can you make here? 3, 2, 1. Because my dog is beautiful. What? Don't you think my dog's beautiful? Well, is this a complete sentence? Subject, dog, verb, is it finished? Is it a complete idea? No. So what's wrong here? Actually, this is a common mistake students make when writing and even speaking. The problem here is the word because. The word because leaves us questioning what more does the writer want to say. Because my dog is beautiful, so we need to change this to make it a complete sentence. There are a couple ways you can do it. A simple one could just be remove because. For example, my dog is beautiful. Or you can leave in the word because and finish the idea. Because my dog is beautiful, people like to take his photo. So handsome. So now let's cover the parts of speech that you will find most often in sentences, and these are vocabulary words that we will discuss over and over throughout this course. The parts of speech we will focus on mostly are nouns, pronouns, verbs, adjectives, adverbs, prepositions, and conjunctions. Later, we'll have specific lessons on some of these. Now, depending on where you place a word, it can change its part of speech. For example, Adam shows up for work early. He needs to work over 40 hours a week. That is a typical work week for Adam. Each of these work is different. The first sentence, work is a noun. The second sentence, work is a verb. And the third sentence, work is an adjective. But don't worry, if you're confused, soon you'll understand why work can be a noun, a verb, and an adjective. First, we have nouns. Nouns are persons, places, and things. Here are 3 examples. 1, the president. 2, the city. 3, an airplane. The president is a person. The city is a place. And an airplane is a thing. We could make a simple sentence with these 3. The president travels to the city on his plane. Pronouns are quite similar to nouns. A pronoun takes the place of a noun. Instead of president, you would say he. Instead of city, you would say it. Instead of airplane, you would say it. Examples of pronouns include I, you, he, she, it, they, and there are some other examples. Next, we have verbs. Verbs identify action or state of being. What does that mean? Well, some examples are sing, dance, be, seem, eat. For example, this man is singing. That is his action. Next is adjectives. Adjectives modify nouns. An example would be hot, lazy, funny, bright. We use adjectives to describe nouns and to make our sentences more interesting and descriptive. For example, this animal is a sloth, and sloths are lazy. Adverbs. Adverbs modify verbs, adjectives, and even other adverbs. Usually, but not always, usually adverbs end in ly. For example, loudly, slowly, only, but not often. As I said, usually they end in ly. Slowly, for example, let's use this in a sentence. The ant slowly walked across the screen. Here, slowly is modifying the verb walked. The ant slowly walked across the screen. Prepositions. Prepositions show a relationship between other words in a sentence. Words like in, on, at, over, under. Take this box, for example. Let's put a cat in different places and use prepositions to describe where that cat is in relationship to the box. The cat is behind the box. The cat is on the box. And the cat is in front of the box. And finally, conjunctions. Conjunctions join words, join phrases, and join clauses. The most common conjunctions are and, or, so, and but. We could say bacon and eggs, or beer or soju. Okay, quiz time. What I would like you to do is identify the parts of speech in each sentence. Look at the words highlighted in yellow. Playground, ran, shiny, loudly, inside. What parts of speech are each of these? Let's start with number 1. Do you want to come to the playground with us? What type of speech is this? It is a noun. Number 2. Anna was so scared she ran down the street. Ran is a verb. Number 3. We hung shiny decorations on our Christmas tree. Shiny is an adjective. 4. Alan's dad sings loudly in the shower. Loudly is an adverb. And 5th, there are many animals living inside the zoo. Inside is a preposition. How well did you do? You did a good job. Okay, that was our lesson on sentence basics. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you soon. So, let's talk about sentence types. The four types that we'll talk about now are simple sentences, compound sentences, complex sentences, and compound complex sentences. Each one gets progressively a little bit more complicated. But don't worry, they're not too difficult. But wait, before we talk about those four sentences, we need to talk about one other thing. IC and DC. Do you know what those are? IC is an independent clause, and DC is a dependent clause. What does that mean? Well, the word independent means that it can stand alone. Here we have an adult. Think of an adult as an independent, someone who doesn't need help from others. And in every independent clause, it includes one subject and one verb. However, dependent clauses are similar yet different. A dependent clause needs help, like a child. The child needs help from the parent, and the dependent clause needs help from an independent clause. So, we can have independent clauses alone, but we cannot have dependent clauses alone. We need help. Okay. Now, you remember this cute little guy? My dog? I gave you two sentences last lesson. Those were 1, my dog is beautiful. 2, because my dog is beautiful. So now you should be able to identify which one is independent and which one is dependent. Can you guess? Here we have my dog is beautiful. It has a subject and verb. And because my dog is beautiful, also the same subject and verb, but it has the word because. This word is important and it changes the entire meaning of a sentence. So be careful when you have a sentence beginning with because. You will need to add more, but we'll talk about that soon. So now you know independent clauses and dependent clauses. We can start with simple sentences. A simple sentence is simply one IC, one independent clause, which means it has one subject and one verb. For example, Mary likes apples. One subject, one verb. These can also be questions. For example, does Mary like apples? Or does Mary like apples and oranges? Here we have a coordinating conjunction, but no subject or verb over here, just an object. So, does Mary like apples and oranges? It's the same, or treated the same, as apples. It's one subject, one verb. You can have more in a subject. For example, Mary and John like apples. They like, there's no S, apples. Again, one subject, one verb. Simple, easy, simple sentence. Compound. Compound is also an easy concept, but you just add a little bit more. A compound sentence is one IC plus another IC. It is two independent clauses. However, they are joined by words like and, but, or, so. These are called coordinating conjunctions. And these are the most common coordinating conjunctions. There are others, for example, for, yet, nor, but these are the most common. Examples of compound sentences are Mary likes apples, but she doesn't like oranges. We have a subject and verb in the first independent clause and a subject verb in the second independent clause. They're connected with this word but. And notice we have a comma before the coordinating conjunctions. Don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, we need this comma. Complex sentences are a little more difficult, but not much. A complex sentence has one independent clause and one dependent clause, connected somehow with words like who, when, that, because, although, and there are several other words. These types of words are called subordinating conjunctions. When you see one of these, you should be able to identify that there is a dependent clause. Examples are, Mary eats apples because they are healthy. Mary eats apples. We have a subject verb. They are healthy. They are subject verb. And you have because here. When you see a word like this, you can identify that it's a dependent clause. And usually you can switch the order. You could change the order like this. Because they are healthy, Mary eats apples. Now, take note of this. When you start with this word, your subordinating conjunction, because they are healthy, you need a comma before you start the next independent clause. Because they are healthy, comma, Mary eats apples. And finally, compound complex. Remember, compound equals one independent clause plus another independent clause, and complex has a dependent clause. So this is the formula for a compound complex sentence. Two independent clauses and one dependent clause, or you could add another, but it's not necessary. For example, it's dinner time, but I can't eat because there is no food in the refrigerator. It's dinner time, subject verb, but I can't eat, subject verb, because there is no food in the refrigerator, subject verb. So, it is dinner time is an independent clause. Here's our coordinating conjunction with another independent clause, and then our subordinating conjunction, which makes this a dependent clause. Independent, independent, dependent. Again, but is the coordinating conjunction, and because is the subordinating conjunction. Okay, it's quiz time. What I want you to do is read this paragraph and identify the sentence types. But let's read together first. Starting at the beginning. A boy asked his father a question. Dad, are bugs good to eat? Because the father was busy eating, he ignored his son's question and he continued eating. When they finished dinner, the father was curious about the boy's question. Why did you ask that question? The boy smiled and replied, There was a bug in your soup, but now it's gone. Okay, take a moment, pause your video, and read the sentences again, and try to determine the types of sentences you see. Okay. Sorry, scared me. The answers are, a boy asked his father a question. It's a simple sentence. Dad, are bugs good to eat? Simple. Because the father was busy eating, he ignored his son's question and he continued eating. This one is a compound complex sentence. When they finished dinner, the father was curious about the boy's question. This one is a complex sentence. Why did you ask that question? This is a simple question or simple sentence. The boy smiled and replied, also simple. And there was a bug in your soup, but now it's gone. This one is a compound sentence. How well did you do? If you made a few mistakes, that's okay. It's a little bit difficult at first, but you'll get the hang of it soon enough. If you got them all right, fantastic job. I knew you could do it. Okay, that's it for the 4 sentence types. See you soon for our next lesson. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to talk about one of the most difficult subjects in the English language, and those things are called articles. The, and a. Are you ready for some fun? As I mentioned, articles include the words the, and a. And they're really difficult for a lot of students to understand. They're usually scratching their head and wondering, when do I use the, an, or nothing at all? Well, hopefully today's lesson will help clarify some of this. What are articles? Articles come at the very beginning of a noun phrase. Noun phrases, of course, include nouns and any other words that might come before them, like determiners and adjectives, these sort of things. An example, a black cat. A comes before this noun phrase, or perhaps the first snow. First snow is a noun phrase. So, as I said, articles come before noun phrases. In addition, they can be categorized into either indefinite or definite articles. But what does that mean? Indefinite are for an and a. Definite is for the. What does indefinite mean? Well, simply, it's not specific. And definite means specific. So here, we're probably talking about something we're uncertain about. And here we're talking about something we are certain about. Also, the indefinite articles, an and a, are used for singular count nouns, and the definite article, the, is used for all nouns. It can be any time. So, are you confused? That's okay. You probably should be. But let's go over some of the rules, and you should better understand. Our first rule is we use an and a the first time we talk about something, and then the next time we talk about it, it changes to the. For example, let's look at a conversation between John and Mary. John says, "There is a pretty bird outside." This is the first time we're talking about this bird. Next, Mary says, "What does the bird look like?" It's the second time. Then John could say, "The bird is small and light blue." The first time we talk about something, it's a or an, and then it becomes more specific and it changes to the. That's a pretty simple idea. But what are the other rules? Also, an and a is used for non-specific words, and the is used for more specific ideas. For example, again, John and Mary are having a conversation. John says, "I'm hungry. I want to eat an apple." This could be any apple. It's not specific. It really doesn't matter. And Mary replies, you can have the apple in the refrigerator. The apple is a specific apple. It's one specific apple. Where? In the refrigerator. The only refrigerator in the house. So from non-specific to specific. And we use an and a for countable nouns. If it's a noun that you can count, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we use the for nouns that you cannot count. For example, a dog, an apple, a book, and a piece of something that is either countable or not countable. You can use those for these words. Music, water, money, time. These words are not countable. They are uncountable. So we cannot use an or a. Instead, we say the music, the water, the money, the time. Again, a conversation with John and Mary. John asks, is the beer good at this restaurant? Now, remember, beer is a liquid, so it's not countable. So it's the beer. Also, it's a specific beer at this restaurant. Mary can reply, yes, you should have a glass of beer. Notice glass is countable, so we have a, but we're not using the word beer with an article. So a glass of beer. Furthermore, when it comes to all of something or generally of something, with an, the, we don't use them. What does that mean? Well, for example, insects, all insects have 6 legs. Sorry guys, spiders are not insects. Those are actually called arachnids. So, all insects have 6 legs. Snow is generally cold, right? All snow is cold. And games are fun, at least they should be. And pizza is delicious, at least I think so. These are all or general ideas, insects, snow, games, pizza, so we do not need an article before them. And finally, when do you use an or a? Do you remember these letters? They're called vowels. A, E, I, O, U. What is the rule with these letters? Well, I bet you think that you should use an before words that begin with A, E, I, O, U. At least that's what most teachers say, but they're wrong. You probably think you need an before words that start with A, apple, or I, image, or O, object. However, that's not right. What is the rule? The truth is, it comes before words that sound like vowels. They should sound like A, E, I, O, U. This is a good one. An apple. Listen, apple. But what about these two here? They don't start with A, E, I, O, U. But I have an here. Why is that? Well, how does this word sound? Listen to me. An honest man. It sounds like honest, like O, or maybe A. It's got a vowel sound. And this one, an MP3 player. Look at the letter M. How does it sound? Maybe M. So here we need an for both of these, not A. It's how the word sounds, not how the word is written. Can you put the correct word, an or a, into these blanks? Ready? Go. Umbrella. An umbrella. Sounds like umbrella. University. A university. Sounds like you, like a Y. A horse. Sounds like the H. And an hour. Sounds like a vowel sound, hour. So, how do you feel now? Do you feel a little bit better about articles? Well, I hope so. Guess what's next? You're right. It is quiz time. What I want you to do is choose either the, an, a, or nothing for the spaces provided. Take a moment, pause the video, and think about the right answers. Are you ready? Go. Okay, let's do this together. At the beginning, I had a strange dream. It's the first time we're talking about something. It's not specific. I had a strange dream last night. I saw a UFO. This starts with a vowel, but it sounds like a Y, UFO, in the sky. There's only one sky for us. It's specific. Next, it's the. Why? Not a? Because this is the second time. Here I saw a UFO is not specific, but then this is the second time we talk about it. It becomes specific. The UFO landed, and an alien. This is not specific. It's the first time. And it sounds like a vowel. An alien stepped out of the spaceship. He wanted to ask me a question. It's not specific. First time. He asked, did, this is difficult, ladies and gentlemen, Americans, are we talking about some Americans? All Americans? I think all Americans. So with all of something, we use no article. Did Americans elect Donald Trump as president? I said, yes. Then he just laughed, got back into the spaceship, and left. The is the same thing as UFO. These are the same things. And again, it's specific. It is the 1, 2, 3, 4th time we talked about something. So we need the. How well did you do, guys? I hope you did okay. But remember, articles are difficult and you just need to continue practicing them to get better. You are the best. You get it? The best. Okay, thanks, ladies and gentlemen. That's it for articles, at least for now. Talk to you later. Bye-bye. Welcome back. Today, the good, the bad, and the many plurals. So, what are plurals? I think you've heard of its opposite, singular. Singular means one, alone. Plurals is the opposite. Basically, plurals means more than one noun. It's really important to work on your plurals because it makes a big difference in the English language. When I hear someone incorrectly use a singular or a plural noun, it doesn't sound quite right. So, what's wrong with these 3 sentences? Can you find the mistakes? My friend loves to watch movie. The encyclopedia has a lot of informations. You should brush your tooth after eating. Each of these has one problem. Can you see it? It's a plural mistake. The first sentence, movie, should be movies. The second mistake is a little more difficult. Informations is not correct. It should be information. This is a word that is already in its plural form and it never has an S. Thirdly, tooth and teeth are irregular words and the singular is spelled much differently than the plural. So you have one tooth or several teeth. So today we want to improve your plurals writing. There are a couple plural rules. When you're texting on your phone, you might write something like this. What does this mean in English? Kind of sound it out. All right, here's a guess. Do you got it now? No? Well, how about now? See you later. Can you see? See you later. It's okay to type like this on your phone, on Kakao Talk, on some other SNS, but when you're writing formally or in business, you really need to write correctly. But hold on. Before we go further, we need to talk about something else. Vowels. What are vowels? Do you remember the 5 vowels in the English alphabet? A, E, I, O, U. And what about all the other letters in the alphabet? What do you call the other letters that are not vowels? They have a special name too. They're called consonants. They include all of these guys. So now you know vowels, A, E, I, O, U, and consonants, everything else. We'll talk about these a little bit throughout today's lesson. Rule number 1 is the most common of all. With most nouns, you simply add an S at the end and they become plural. For example, pen, book, table. How do you make those plural? Add an S. Pens, books, tables. Real simple. I think you already knew that one. For example, I have read 3 books this month. Not really. Number 2, with nouns that end in a consonant plus a Y, drop the Y, cancel the Y, and add IES. For example, lady, berry, galaxy. No Y and add IES. There are countless galaxies in space. Are you ready to go to Mars? But wait, be careful when a noun ends in a vowel and a Y. You don't cancel the Y and add IES. Instead, you just add S. For example, boy, tray, valley. They become boys, trays, valleys. Rule number 3. What if it ends in CH, S, SH, X, or Z? With all of these, you basically add ES. Box, dress, church. For example, the churches in Europe are amazing. Have you ever been to Europe? Go. Book your flight tomorrow. But wait, again, be careful if a noun ends in a CH, but it's pronounced with a K, a K. If this happens, you only add S. Examples are not that common, but here are a few. Lock, monarch, stomach. We add simply an S, otherwise it would sound strange. Locks, monarchs, stomachs. Rule 4, what if a noun ends in an O? Sometimes you add an S or you add an ES. And believe it or not, some words you can do either or. It doesn't matter. Some examples: photo, memo, hero, potato. Photo and memo, you only add an S, but hero and potatoes, you add ES. For example, I have a lot of photos of potatoes. Why would I have that? That's strange. Rule number 5. If the noun ends in F or FE, basically we drop the F and FE and add VES. Leaf, self, F. Knife, life, FE. Leaves, selves, knives, lives. You can hear the V sound in the plurals. They say that cats have 9 lives. Did you know that? This one looks like it has at least 2. One other thing for today's plural rules. Some words are a little strange. We call those irregular words. Words like child, woman, man, person, mouse. These words don't have a specific rule. Instead, they have their own spelling. Child to children, woman to women. Notice the pronunciation. Woman, women, man to men, person to people. Sometimes you can use persons, but that's really more formal. And mouse to mice. So keep a lookout for irregular nouns. Quiz time. I'd like you to correct the plural mistakes. This paragraph has several problems with plurals. Can you find them? Pause the video, take a moment, and think about your answers. 3, 2, 1. Let's read together. Whales look like fishes, but they are mammal. Other examples of mammal include mouse, cat, and bear. Whale are intelligent animals like chimpanzee. The largest whale can grow up to 100 foot in length and can weigh 100 ton. Blue whales are bigger than elephant and the largest dinosaur. The answers are, you need an S for whales, but fishes, actually fishes is irregular. It never has an ES. 1 fish, 2 fish, 3 fish. It doesn't change. An S for mammals. Again, S for mammals. Mouse becomes mice, cats, bears, whales, chimpanzees, whales. Be careful of the next one. Grow to 100, not foot, but feet in length, and can weigh 100 tons. Good S here. We have 2 more. S on elephants and S on dinosaurs. If you got this perfectly, fantastic. A+. If you missed a few, no problem. I'm sure the next time you'll do fantastic. Well, good job, ladies and gentlemen. That was the good, the bad, and the many plurals. See you next time. As promised, our next lesson is going to be getting into prepositions. And as you can see, prepositions in Korean are junchisa. And in English, the top 3 prepositions are in, on, at. So today's lesson, we are going to focus on these specific prepositions. However, there are several other prepositions you'll need to know. For example, during, since, until, inside, behind, near, and several others. To speak properly and, of course, to write properly, you'll need to know and understand these prepositions. So, don't forget to study your worksheets and practice these so you get better at English writing. But back to our prepositions, in, on, and at. With these 3 prepositions, there are 2 categories that you really want to focus on. Our first category is time. Each of these is used differently for time. And then the second is location. In, on, and at are used differently for different types of location words. Let's start with prepositions of time first. With prepositions of time, they really go from large amounts of time down to the smallest amount of time. We have things that are greater distances apart to a point specifically in time. Our first preposition will be in. In will include months, years, centuries, generally long periods. For example, in 2017. So, in January, in 2016, in 1900, or in the past, in the future, something like that. Then, as we get closer to a smaller amount of time, we have on. With on, just think of days. Dates are also days. For example, on Saturday, or a specific date. So when is Christmas Day? It's on December 25th. On Christmas, on December 25th. And then finally, a specific time or precise time at 9:30 p.m., at lunchtime, at noon. So try to remember this order: in, on, at, from larger to small. More examples. In Korea, it often snows in December. And will we go to Mars in the future? Next, do you work on January 10th? And where will you be on New Year's Day? And finally, I have a meeting at 9 a.m. and the shop closes at midnight. Okay, good job. Let's talk about prepositions of location. With prepositions of location, we have these three symbols to help you remember. What do you think they represent? First, again, in. In is used for enclosed spaces. For example, in the building. You can think of inside as well. This dot might represent you or something else. This dot is inside the circle. It is in the circle. Perhaps there are walls around you. There are walls in a building, so someone is in the building. Next, we have a piece of wood, a block of wood, and these arrows represent the surface of the wood. So on is used for surface. For example, on the wall. The painting is on the wall. This is on top of the wood or on the side of the wood. And finally, at is used for a point somewhere. For example, at the bus stop. It's a specific area, and maybe it has walls, maybe it doesn't. It's a general area. Keep in mind, sometimes in and at can be switched. You could say, I'm in the park or at the park. However, in is more specific to being in the center, and at is more about in the general location. Examples include, do you work in an office? And I have a meeting in New York. With on, there are no prices on the menu. I love that painting on the wall. And at, she is waiting for you at the bus stop. And the shop is at the end of the street. So let's take a moment and quiz you on the proper use of in, on, at. Are you ready? Try to choose the correct response. Take a moment, read these, and think of the right answer. I'll give you a few seconds. Go for it. Okay. It gets very cold in the winter. In is not a specific amount of time. It's longer than a day, so we have in. 2, he doesn't have a job at the moment. Moment is a very short amount of time. So, since it's a small amount of time, we use at. He flew to Japan. He is probably in Tokyo now, inside the city now. 4, would you like to go out to dinner Friday night? Remember, Friday night is a day, so on Friday night. Number 5, good night. I will see you the morning. The morning is a general amount of time. It's unspecified, so in the morning. And 6, were you the party last night? We're not on the party, of course, and we're not inside the party. We're at a general location at the party. How well did you do? Pretty good? All right, super job. That's it for getting into prepositions. Don't forget to check out your worksheets and see you soon for the next lesson. Hello again. Today, let's talk about comparatives and superlatives. First, what are comparatives? You've seen these before. What we do here is we take two similar and or different things and we compare them. We look at the similarities and the differences and use specific words to show those similarities and differences. For example, A is bigger than B. Bigger, it's our comparative adjective. And after bigger, we usually see a word like than. A is bigger than B, or B is smaller than A. Superlatives are when we are comparing not two things, but three or more things. For example, A, B, and C. An example sentence would be, A is the biggest. Here we do not use the word than. However, we use the. It's the only one that is bigger than all the rest. A is the biggest. Or we can use C. C is the smallest. So, when we use comparatives and superlatives, we have to ask a question first. How many syllables are in the words we're using? So, what is a syllable? Well, let's explain that first. Syllables are sounds within words. It's really easy in Korean because you can see just by the writing. For example, I. Each pair of characters represents one syllable. For example, I. However, English is a little more complicated. Let's take a look at a similar word. I. How many syllables do you think are in here? Listen to me. I. How many do you hear? Are you ready? I. Just one. You think they're similar, but they're really fairly different. All right, let's try it again. Ice. Ice. How many syllables? Ice. 근데, but What about this word, ice? How many do you hear? Listen to me. Ice. There are only one. All right, one more question. Take this word, for example. Interesting. How many syllables are in here? Listen to me. Are you ready? Interesting. Interesting. And take a look. Interesting. There are 4 syllables. So there are rules if a word has 1, 2, or 2 or more syllables. Let's take a look at those rules. Here's our chart. Here are our number of syllables. Generally, if a word has 1 syllable, like nice, right here, nice, we add or we put ER at the end. Nice becomes nicer. Or as a superlative, nice becomes nicest, and we need the nicest. However, if there are 2 syllables and the word ends in a Y, like happy, Happy, the rule is to cancel the Y and add IER, happier, for a comparative. For superlatives, again, we drop the Y and add IEST, happiest, but don't forget the happiest. And for words that have 2 or more syllables, we just keep the word, but add either more or less to the beginning. For comparatives, more intelligent or less intelligent. With superlatives, we put the as usual, but most or least. So, the most intelligent or the least intelligent. Let's look at some examples. Here we have a pig. What word comes to mind when you see this picture? Well, most people will think of the word dirty. How can we use dirty to make a few sentences with comparatives and superlatives? Let's try a comparative first. Pigs are dirtier than cats. Drop the Y, add IER, and then. Pigs are dirtier than cats. All right, how about a superlative? Well, most people think pigs are the dirtiest animals. Maybe that's not necessarily true, but a lot of people think so. Okay, next photo. What is this woman doing here? She is bungee jumping. What word comes to mind? How about exciting? Can you think of a comparative sentence? This is more exciting than watching TV. How many syllables are in this word? Exciting. 3. Exciting. So we need more. Let's try a superlative. This is the most exciting sport. This is the most exciting sport. One more photo. Coffee. I love coffee. How about you? What word comes to mind in this image? How about hot? Let's use a comparative first. Coffee is hotter than milk. Now we have hot as one word and one syllable. However, it ends with a vowel and a consonant, OT. When this happens, we double the consonant. We double the last letter and add ER. Coffee is hotter than milk. You can do this with words like big, B-I-G. It becomes B-I-G-G-E-R. Okay, let's try a superlative. This is the hottest drink I like. Again, we have a double T here. And sometimes there are irregular adjectives that are used differently with comparatives and superlatives. Bad, becomes worse or worst. Good becomes better or best. There are two different fars. One is for distance and one is extent, but they're very similar. Far for distance becomes farther and farthest. Far for extent becomes further, furthest. And you have already seen these, little, many, much. Little is less or least. Many for countable is more or most. Much for non-countable is more or most as well. So try to remember the irregular forms of comparatives and superlatives. It's quiz time. How about choosing the correct response? Take a moment, pause your video, and try to find the correct answer. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3. Okay, number 1, a car is faster than a bicycle. Fast is one syllable, and we're comparing two things. 2, this is the most expensive shirt in the store. Expensive is 3 syllables, expensive, and we're comparing many shirts in the store. 3, Antarctica is the coldest place on Earth. We're comparing many places, and cold is only one syllable. 4, this soup is more delicious than that soup. We're comparing two soups, this and that. And delicious is 3 syllables, delicious. Finally, 5, a wolf is hungrier than a puppy. We're comparing two things, wolf and puppy. Hungry ends in a Y, so I-E-R. Okay, I bet you got a perfect score, right? Well done. That's it for today. That was comparatives and superlatives. See you soon, guys. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Today, we're going to talk about comparing signal words. So, what are signal words? Well, they're special words that signal or give direction to the reader. You've seen these before. For example, first, second, third, and, but, so, although, however, because. But today we are going to focus on comparing signal words. When we compare something, we look at things that are similar. For example, these two boxes, they are both square and they are similar to each other. They are each shades of green. In addition to things that are similar, we look at things that are different from each other. For example, these two shapes. One is a triangle and the other is a circle. One is green, however, the other is blue, and so on. You can also compare for similarities and contrast for differences. Now, when we talk about the similarities and differences between two things, we use special words like the ones in these boxes. For similarities, we use as well, also, to, like, both, similarly, and similar to. For differences, we use however, on the other hand, while, although, different from, though, and but. However, these are just a few of the compare and contrast words. Take a look at your worksheets to see more details. Let's choose a topic and compare two people. How about Gandhi and MLK, better known as Martin Luther King? Are you familiar with these two gentlemen? Well, let's look at similarities first. Martin Luther King Jr. and Gandhi are very similar to each other. Gandhi was religious and Martin Luther King Jr. was as well. Gandhi and King both recognized that nonviolence was the best way to approach their goals. Gandhi was killed in 1948. Similarly, King was assassinated in 1968. Like King, Gandhi made a lasting positive effect on the world. Notice the words in white. These words signify or signal similarities between two subjects. So, how would we use these for differences? Let's take a look at another paragraph. However, Martin Luther King, or MLK, and Gandhi shared several differences in their lives. King was born in America while Gandhi was born in India. Although they were religious, Gandhi was a Hindu and King was a Christian. King was a very effective public speaker. On the other hand, Gandhi was a significant leader even though he did not speak in public. Notice these words and phrases highlighted in white. These are special signal words that show the differences between two subjects. So, what should you do? Practice, practice, practice. Take a look again at your worksheets and finish the activities so you too can make better compare and contrast sentences and then a good compare and contrast paragraph. So that was comparing signal words. See you soon. I have a question for you. Can you modal? So what are modals? Well, they're helping verbs that express a few things like ability, possibility, permission, and obligation. I think you've seen these before. Would, shall, can, might, have to. All of these are modals, and they can be used in different ways and sometimes switched. Let's get to it. The first modals will be can, could, be able to. These modals express ability, and for the present and future, they're quite similar. For example, John can speak English, but he cannot speak French. Or, Mary is able to play chess, but she is not able to play tomorrow. It looks like all of these are in the present form. However, here, because of the word tomorrow, it makes it a future idea. In the past, we can say, when I was in Europe, I could travel on the subway. However, I was not able to drive a car. You can switch these as well. I was able to travel. However, I could not drive a car. Notice that could and was, these are the past tenses. Possibility. You cannot meet Adam now, but you can meet him next week. It's possible to meet him next week, but not possible now. I could buy a big house if I won the lotto. I could be able to. It would be possible. And permission, please. Can you lend me $50, please? That's more informal. A more formal way of asking, we change can into could. Could I borrow your car? No, probably not. All right, our next two, may and might. They're really quite similar, and you can actually switch them. For permission, in a more formal way, you may start the exam now. It's okay. You may start the exam now. Or, you may not wear sandals to work. It's not okay to wear these kind of shoes to work. Or possibility, we may watch a movie tonight, but we might not buy food there. Notice may and might. It's okay to switch these. We might watch a movie, but we may not buy food. Shall, should, ought to. For suggestions, shall we buy a gift for him? Or should we visit the doctor? Here it's implied that yes, we should buy a gift, and yes, we probably should visit the doctor for whatever reason. Expectation. What do you expect in the future? It ought to rain today. The forecast said it will rain, so it ought to rain. Or, the meeting should not take very long. Advice. Good advice or bad advice? You ought to exercise regularly. It's a good idea. Or, you should not drink too much beer. You might gain weight, or it's not healthy. Must, have to, need to. Necessity, a requirement. You need to have a passport to travel. If you don't have your passport, you cannot travel. Or, you must not smoke in the bathroom. Those are the rules. Don't smoke in the bathroom. Persuade, convince someone to believe you. You must try this pasta. It's absolutely delicious. Try it. Or, you have to visit Paris. It's a beautiful city. You should go soon. Will, would, a request or statement. For example, will you take out the trash, please? Or, I would like a coffee, please. You're requesting. Okay, it's quiz time again. Choose the right answer, but keep in mind that these can really have more than one answer. So if your answer is a little different than mine, it could be right. Number 1, if you have a cold, you should not go to work. It's not a good idea to go to work because you have a cold. You should not go. 2, she can see much better with her glasses. It's possible to see better with her glasses. 3, shall we have a glass of wine with dinner? Do you think it's a good idea? I do. 4, you must not smoke here. It's not allowed. Or you should not smoke here. Or you cannot smoke here. Those work. 5, would you mind helping me for a moment? It's a polite request. And 6, may I borrow your pen? I forgot mine. Or, can I borrow your pen? I forgot mine. That works too. How well did you do? I think you did well. I knew you could. Get it? Ha ha ha. Okay, nice job, guys. Can you modal? Well, yes, now you can. That's it for now. Talk to you soon. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you use conditionals, what happens? So, what are conditionals? Well, they're sentences that show cause and effect relationships. Can you guess what could happen here? What's the cause and what's the effect? Which one is which? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bang. So the cause was the candle or the fire. The effect was the explosion. If you light a bomb, it explodes. For conditionals, we usually use these two words somewhere. Usually it's this word if. We will usually see the word if in the sentence. However, when can sometimes be used, but it's not as common. Let's take a look at the types of conditionals. There are 4 types, and they're named by numbers. Type 0, 1, 2, and 3. Type 0 shows the relationship of habits and scientific facts. Type 1 is likely possibility. It's probable. It probably will happen. Type 2 is unlikely. It probably will not happen. And type 3 is not possible. It's an impossible past. And with all 4 of these, we can use if in the sentence. However, it's possible to use when in type 0 for each one. Here's a nice chart to help you remember. Type 0, or scientific facts, these are about 100%. These are facts. They will happen. They do happen no matter what. Type 1, it's likely, but not 100%. Type 2, it's not that likely. It's lower probability. And type 3, it's almost 0 or completely 0 probability. Let's take a closer look. Type 0, habit or scientific fact. The equation here is to use present simple plus present simple. For example, if you heat ice, it melts. Okay, heat is the present simple form. Melts is also the present simple form. If you heat ice, it melts. And remember, it's also possible to use when in place of if. When you heat ice, it melts. It's the same thing. Type 1, likely possibility. Here the equation is present simple plus will verb. For example, if it rains, we will cancel the trip. Present simple is just rains. Will verb, will cancel. If it rains, we will cancel the trip. Type 2, unlikely. Probably will not happen. The equation is past simple, guago, plus would verb. If I won the lottery, I would travel a lot. Won is the past of win, to win, and would verb, would travel. If I won the lottery, I would travel a lot. I would buy a lot of things. I would have a great time. And type 3, impossible past. Here we are imagining a different past. So that's not possible, right? Unless you have a time machine. The equation is past perfect. It's your have PP, your past, guago, have PP, plus would, and then your hyunjae have PP. For example, if I had studied, I would have made a better grade. The truth is this person's grade is a B minus, not so good. But if he or she studied more, had studied, they would have made a better grade. Maybe A plus. I don't know. We'll never know because it's an impossible past. And did you know? Did you recognize that all of these sentences are complex sentences? That means they have a dependent clause and an independent clause. And you can switch these. You can put the independent first or last. For example, instead of if I had studied, comma, I would have made a better grade, you can switch. I would have made a better grade, no comma, if I had studied. It's the same thing. There's really no difference. It's just preference. So here's a summary for you. Type 0, 1, 2, and 3. Type 0, facts and true statements. Present simple plus present simple. If you heat ice, it melts. Type 1, likely possibility. Present simple plus will verb. If it rains, we will cancel the trip. Type 2, unlikely situation, past simple plus would verb. If I won the lottery, I would travel a lot. And type 3, an impossible past, past perfect plus would have PP. If I had studied, I would have made a better grade. So, are you ready for a quick quiz? Choose the correct answer. Again, pause and think of what answer works best. Okay, number 1. If I have enough money, I will buy new shoes. 2. If I had not eaten so much, I would not have felt sick. 3. If I had her number, I would call her. 4. When you touch fire, you get burned. 5. If babies are hungry, they cry. And 6. She will be late if the train is delayed. How well did you do? Fantastic. Good job, guys. All right. That's it for today. If you use conditionals, you will write better. Take care and see you soon. Congratulations! You have successfully completed this course on English writing and grammar skills. Just to recap what you've learned, we covered several grammar points starting with such things as capitalization and adjectives, and ended with such things as modals and conditional sentences. Wow, that's a lot! Great job! Now you are equipped with the basics to be a better writer in English. And now that you've learned these skills, don't lose them. Revisit these lessons. Practice this grammar more on paper and even while speaking. Practice makes perfect, right? Well, I would like to say thank you again, and I hope you found these English writing lessons of value. And I would very much appreciate it if you would give this course a rating. That way you'll be helping others too. Again, thanks a lot, take care, and talk to you later.